How's it going, fellas? Today we're comparing two cameras that are super popular with YouTubers, vloggers, and all around video people, I guess. So I want to start off by showing you guys the difference in size of these two cameras because convenience is a huge factor in this. How do I put these cameras side by side? I didn't really think this part through at all. Steve, I need your help real quick. Film my face.
Only if I can plug Megalith Digital.
Okay, fine. Cool, so now we have the Canon 80D here, the G7X Mark II here, and the C100 Mark II here, thanks to Steve.
Can I plug it now?
No, we'll get to that in a second. I mean, look how small this is compared to this. I mean, I could fit it into my pocket, and I could probably fit the whole thing in my mouth. I overestimated my abilities a lot. But obviously there's gonna be image quality differences, so let's take a look. At first glance, they both look really good. They're both very sharp, and honestly, I'm having trouble telling them apart, actually. And yeah. What the hell is Sarah doing? Image stabilization on the G7X, pretty solid. I have the 18-135 on the 80D, which is what I consider to be one of the better image stabilizations. Moving on, now we're shooting 60 frames per second and bringing it down to 24 to get some slow-mo action. With the higher frame rate, there's a slight depreciation in the G7X's image quality, but not terrible. And still, the difference is pretty minor. I mean, by the time this gets processed by YouTube, you probably won't even be able to see a difference. So the G7X has a really good all-around lens. But the beauty of the DSLR is that you can attach any lens specifically to your situation. For example, a lot of you watching are probably trying to decide between these cameras to vlog. So this is arm's length away with the 80D on the 10-18, which is cool because the G7X, you can't really get too much wider than this. So you have a lot more room. We're at the beach, and what are you doing?
Statistics!
Why are you studying at the beach? We're supposed to be surfing.
Statistics!
Look at those guys. Look at how much fun they're having. I like that you have all this space, so I could be like all the way over here and still film you. All right, so let's look at the price difference on these two. Actually, I have no idea what the price difference is, so I'm gonna have to look it up and put it below. The 80D is obviously gonna be a little bit more than the G7X Mark II, but then once you start adding lenses, then it can become a whole lot more. Steve's getting really impatient now. He really wants to plug his production company, so here we go.
Visit us at www.megalithdigital.com for all of your video needs. He wouldn't give me any on-screen graphics. I had to make my own.
And of course, if you're trying to get a shallow depth of field for a cinematic look, you're gonna be able to do that better with an 80D because of the bigger sensor. You can still get some depth of field out of the G7X Mark II, but not nearly as much. This low light test was probably what I was most surprised about. The G7X Mark II is shockingly good in low light. If you're running just a standard kit lens on your Canon 80D, then the G7X is actually gonna outperform it. And on these settings, there's way more noise on the Canon 80D, especially if we zoom in a little bit. So to give the 80D a chance, I'm gonna throw on my Sigma 1.8 zoom lens, which is the fastest one I have. And now I think the 80D is looking better. It's a little bit cleaner and a little bit sharper, but not nearly the difference I was expecting. I was pretty sure that with a fast lens, the 80D was gonna punch the G7X in the mouth and take its lunch money, but the G7X definitely stood its ground. Biggest difference is even with the white balance and color profiles matched, the G7X Mark II sometimes looked really green under certain lights. So after seeing how minor the difference is, I decided to leave my DSLR behind for my backpacking camping trip. While I was up there, I was kind of curious, how does this compare to my iPhone 7 Plus? I mean, the iPhone 7 Plus isn't that great in low light in the first place, and it gets even worse if you start to zoom in. This is what Black Widows look like in the G7X versus the iPhone. Yay, nature. So much fun. And of course, the front-facing camera on the iPhone is worse. To test the different microphones on the two cameras, I have the 80D and the G7X mounted on here, and we're gonna record some rap by somebody that's not that good at rapping, but you know, knows a thing or two about it. Ollie B.
Two and listen to the beat. Here we go.
Can you rap about turtles?
Trying to get over the hurdle. You be swimming in the swamp that is full of snapping turtles.
The 80D definitely has an advantage in sound because aside from this onboard microphone, it has a mic input, which means you can use a microphone like this one or a mic like this. Will you be my friend? That's not creepy, right? The G7X Mark II doesn't have a mic input, but there is something you should do for the sound. These things. Put a link in the description, but let me show you why. So times like this, it's so windy up here, you're probably getting a lot of wind noise. That's adorable. It's like a little mohawk. All right, so we got this little fluffy mohawk on this camera now. Wind conditions are pretty similar as yesterday. How's it sound? Hopefully it sounds a little bit better. I'm the worst paragliding pilot ever. How bad is it? That's not too bad. This was in my pocket and camera stopped working, but that is what warranties are for. Yes, thank God. I rarely get extended warranties from a store, but I've seen a lot of these point and shoots break before, so I went with it and I am so glad I got one. It's an extended warranty I got from Amazon. I think it's like 4 years of covering drops and spills. Now, I don't expect a lot of cameras to survive a paragliding crash, but I must say I have seen many of these fail. It's such a compact design. It's very delicate and fragile and intricate, so I wouldn't really count on this to survive a couple drops or dusty conditions. But this is my 4th Canon DSLR body and I've never had an issue with one. And if you love time lapses, they both have built-in time lapse features. But my issue with the G7X is that it doesn't let you manually adjust everything like you can on the 80D. So what do we learn from this test? I think the Canon 80D is still the superior camera. It's designed for professional use. You could use different lenses. You can attach accessories, especially if you're going for a cinematic look with shallow depth of field. All right, back to normal. But the G7X is such a strong competitor, especially for its size and convenience. This thing is amazing. Clearly, there's definitely some differences, but I was surprised at how close this gets to this camera in many of the situations. The 80D I'm hands down gonna use for any sort of professional work if I'm shooting for a client or whatever. But this thing is so convenient. I think this might replace most of my personal stuff. I don't know, I like this thing a lot. I'm gonna, yeah.